President Hunter Franklin. Hunter Franklin is a Virginia farm boy who was playing football for Virginia Tech, met this beautiful girl who was going to Harvard, and the next thing he knows, he is on this wild ride through politics. Mayor, governor, now President of the United States.
All right, Tyler Perry fans, this week is the week. We will be seeing the debut of both The Oval as well as Sisters on BET this Wednesday night, October 23rd. For people still asking, The Oval and Sisters, both shows will run for 1 hour each. The Oval from 9 to 10 p.m. and Sisters from 10 to 11 p.m. And I was actually going to do, I had on my list at least 8 videos where I'd be doing like 4 Oval videos and 4 sister videos, basically going over all of the extended trailers, the meet the cast videos, a video going over my initial expectations and hopes for the series. But I decided instead of doing that, I just do 2 separate videos, one for each show, because it really isn't that much to, I guess you could say, go into depth for. But I do know that both shows have been having this major promotional tour, and I gotta say, BET, it feels like The Oval and Sisters are getting way more promotion than the Haves and the Have-Nots and If Loving You Is Wrong when they debuted back on OWN back in the Haves and Have-Nots in 2013. But I guess it makes sense because BET is the bigger network, more people have access to it, and I'm really just proud of what Tyler Perry and his team were able to do with this. But in this video, you know, at the beginning I had like a little bumper for some of the extra content, and throughout the video I might have different clips and whatnot either playing on the screen or I'll be talking over them, because to be honest, looking at the trailers again, most of them were like expanded scenes of what we've already seen before. But what I'll do is I'll play a clip here. This was from, I feel like this was like an exclusive clip from Tyler Perry's appearance on the Jimmy Kimmel show, and he did like a 12-minute interview there. So I'm going to go ahead and play the clip. This wasn't in the initial or extended trailer. And with that being said, make sure you hit that subscribe button if you're new to the channel, as well as hit the bell notification icon. That way, when Oval comes on this week, I'll be able to let you know when I post my, episode review, trailer breakdown, and things like that. So without further ado, let's watch this first clip. And also check out the links in the description below to follow me on social media.
Mind the door, will you?
Yes, sir.
Where do you want me?
On your knees.
Ma'am.
Move away from the door.
Ma'am, I can't do that.
You're the president. What the hell is this world coming to? Let me in there!
All right, so we see the president messing around with his mistress in the Oval. No pun intended. So I think my favorite part of the bit is when his wife is coming up trying to get in, but Secret Service is blocking the door, which actually makes sense to what we saw later in the initial trailer. The First Lady walking down the hall with a sledgehammer. So apparently she's most likely going to burst through that door the next time somebody tries to block it off. But yeah, this is going to be pretty interesting here. I have to say that out of the 2 shows at the moment, I think I'm more excited for what the Oval has to bring, just because of the fact that it really does seem like a real legit drama series that will kind of change the way people look at BET, so to speak. Because to be honest, I can't remember the last time I actually sat down and watched the series on BET, not counting the New Edition and Bobby Brown stories, because those are like, what do you call, like biopic slash ministries? Yeah, I think that's what they call, like the Temptations and the Jacksons and American Dream. Yeah, what was it, like ministries? But in any case, I think that the fact that Tyler Perry as well as the cast continue to say that this show isn't about politics, it's more so about the people in the White House, about their relationships, their drama, their lives. And I think that's really going to bring something interesting to the table, especially in the different interviews. Tyler Perry says, I think some people kind of hint at, wait, is this like, in relation to what's going on right now? Then he kind of chuckles to himself. But I think that he's going to bring something to mix things up. But I think my favorite video of the cast members so far was in reference to the meet the cast of the Oval. And after talking with, well, you know what I mean. When I say talking, I mean listening to the cast members talk. I think my favorite description so far is probably for Hunter, aka the president, just because he says different things like, hey, I'm a Virginia farm boy. I played football for Virginia Tech. I met my lovely wife who was attending Harvard. And from there, it was a wild ride into politics, going from mayor, governor to president. And our kids were with us along the way, for better or worse. And Jason, who was the son, is apparently the dark side of the force for sure. Now, remember the initial trailers, Jason wasn't even in there. It was all Gail, the daughter, who's the wild child, seen, having fun with a young man and kind of getting on edge, getting on her mother's bad side. But I mean, her demeanor seems pretty straightforward. She's the wild party kid, but the fact that Jason is depicted as, the darker side of the mirror, I'm really concerned on what exactly does that mean. The actor portraying Jason, he gives some of the most well-spoken dialogue in these interviews. He just talks about how, the Oval is about generational trauma, and Jason's the perfect example of, parents who kind of neglect and don't really pay attention to what their kids are doing. And this show is about, can generational trauma be broken, or is it just going to be an ongoing cycle? So that is pretty legit. And Gail goes on to say, that her behavior is from her parents, and based off how his father is pretty much a hound dog, makes sense where his daughter gets it from. And when it comes to Victoria, she's described as strong. She has something to prove. And, her and her husband have a love-hate relationship. She's an alpha female. And, Hunter goes on to say they're both equals mentally and physically, which we see from, their verbal and physical confrontations in the trailer. But I have to say that this show is gearing up to be pretty dang good, if I do say so myself. And I don't want to seem like I'm brushing over, like, the Secret Service, the butler, and the other staff of the White House. But I really wanted this video to focus more on the core family of it. Because, when it comes to, like, the butlers and Secret Service, I instantly think, like, the haves and the have-nots, Celine and Hannah, in regards to being the staff of the rich family, the Criers. But Tyler Perry did say something interesting in one interview that I need to put in here so we can talk about it just a little bit more.
There's the residents. I want to follow the Secret Service home. I want to follow the Butler home and the Chief of Staff home. I want to see their lives outside of politics. So the White House and politics is just there, but their lives is what's so important. And I think that it kind of rolls along the have and have-nots and with the drama for me.
I mean, the man said it himself, going off these latest trailers and interviews, I really do get have and have not vibes from the Franklin family and, the way the plot's going. I just think about how Hunter was talking about how he's from, a VA farm boy, he played football for Tech. And I just thought about Jim Crier, what, didn't come from much. He played football in high school. That's when Catherine noticed him and, he winked at her. And then, the chubby rich girl and then the star football player, got together. And then from there, he kind of got inducted into the Crier I forgot Catherine's maiden name. Basically that family into, rising his way up the ranks into politics, going to law school, becoming a lawyer, then a judge, not to mention his side businesses that were pretty successful. So it just reminds me of, the first season where Jim turned 50. He was about to run for governor, and he was just basically in a position he didn't want to be in anymore. He was just basically having a midlife crisis. That's the easiest way to put it. And Hunter just seems like, he's way in over his head. I feel like, based off the descriptions of the characters, his wife was probably the one who kept shoving him to do these positions, because in the trailer, he's like, you're not going to mess this up for me. So I really do feel like, we got a Jim Crier in the White House with Chocolate Catherine. Now, you can make the argument that Victoria represents either Catherine or Candace or a fusion of both. Who knows? But when it comes to the kids, Jason definitely gives me Wyatt vibes. And I guess you could say that Gail reminds me of, well, honestly, I would say Amanda, but that was more of a mental illness, not to mention the fact that she didn't really become wild until after she stopped taking her meds. So just imagine Gail as an Amanda who never got the help she needed, and her parents just kind of neglected their kids in order to make it further and further up the political and ladder of power, if you will. So yeah, I can definitely see inspiration from those characters in this show. But when it comes down to it, I was on that live stream not too long ago and people were saying that, oh, this show's definitely giving me too close to home vibes. Now that show was on from like 2016 to 17, so I really wasn't watching it, so I really can't give my full opinion on that. But when I reviewed this show, remember, this was the first year that I reviewed If Loving You Is Wrong while it was on the air, and I made major have and have not comparisons because it was too close to the vest not to notice when storylines were kind of the same. So with the Oval, I'm not going to just sit up here, oh, this is a have and have not knockoff, but I will point out to, hey, this character does remind me of that character, because to me, that's kind of fun. It's almost like, watching a animated film or whatever and then recognizing an actor's voice, but then you can't remember what movie you heard it from, that kind of thing. So I'm looking forward to it. I know some people, well, a lot of people like myself, it sucks. We still don't have the haves and have-nots yet, nor do we have an official date. We do have a month, January 2020, or a trailer, but we're getting like two for the price of one, so to speak. I hope that these shows do very well. A lot of people are asking, can this show outdo the haves and have-nots? Potentially it can. I know that sounds like blasphemy coming from me of all people, but if Tyler Perry looked at what fans, not just myself, but what fans in general were saying were kind of flawed about the haves and the have-nots, he probably looked at, tweets, comments. I don't know if he does. I'm just saying. And then from there kind of made the necessary adjustments to make the Oval the best show it could be. Like, I hope the Oval season 1 is just as good as the haves and the have-not season 1, where it was a new show. It kept you on the edge of your seat. Those cliffhangers, you had to pay attention to every single character, action, and word. The previews were legit. It was an event every Tuesday night, and it was trending. And it wasn't just trending, in terms of the title of the show. We had characters trending as well. So will the Oval be that big? We will just have to wait and see. But, based off the cast interviews, it seems like they are a close-knit family that had a blast. Definitely to walk into a remake of the White House is pretty fantastic. I mean, that by itself is worth the price of admission. But I think Tyler Perry is going to do justice with this show. I think he picked a great cast. Some of them are familiar faces. Some of them I don't believe I've seen before. But again, they were picked by Tyler Perry, so I'm pretty sure he saw something in them to bring those characters to life. So with that being said, what do you think about the Oval? I mean, it hasn't even premiered yet, but at the same time, what are your initial thoughts going in? Are you not going to watch because you're just waiting for the haves and have-nots to show up? But I definitely recommend checking it out, because remember, we got to wait until at least a couple more months from now. So you kind of need something to kind of fill in the gap between where we are now in October to the haves and have-nots returning sometime in January. But looking over the notes here, I think I covered everything that I needed to cover. Yeah, I think I focused more on the characters and the extended scenes, because really wasn't much to talk about there. Okay, well, with that being said, guys, once again, hit that subscribe button if you don't mind. If you're new, trying to hit 100,000, and leave your thoughts about the Oval in the comment section below, and I will talk to you on the next video. I'm probably going to record my sister's videos next, and we can go from there. Take care, everyone.